Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. This time, we're going deep on purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah. Like, what are we meant to do with these lives of ours?
Right.
We've got this awesome conversation between Robert Greene,
Oh, yeah, Robert Greene.
author of Mastery,
Love that book.
and neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman on Huberman's podcast.
Oh, that's a great...
Really fascinating stuff. I think you're going to like it.
Yeah.
We talk about purpose a lot.
Sure.
I think what makes this one different is that they both go into how our brains are wired for it.
Oh, interesting.
How we can, tap into that.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call it, but, that inner...
The compass.
Yeah, compass, that's the word.
Yeah.
And even, what amphibians have to do with it all.
I love a good analogy.
Cool, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that really struck me about Greene's perspective was how he started out.
Okay.
By kind of flipping the script on this idea
Okay.
that humans are somehow lacking because we don't have clear instincts like animals do. Like he says animals have instincts we don't, and that can be overwhelming.
It's true.
But it's also our superpower.
I like that.
Right. Like that lack of instinct opens up this huge potential for all these diverse paths.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so I'm curious what you thought about that.
Well, I think what's really interesting about that is that he challenges this idea that humans are somehow lacking.
Yeah.
Because we don't have these clear-cut instincts that animals do.
Right, like we're supposed to be the top of the food chain.
Yeah, but we don't know instinctively what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he really flips that idea on its head.
Yeah.
And says that lack of pre-programmed instinct is actually our superpower.
But it's like we have to figure it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what gives us the ability to adapt.
To learn. Yeah.
To create.
In all these different ways.
You got it.
But how does he, how does he explain that idea?
Well, he uses this really compelling analogy of an internal radar. So think about it. Animals, they're guided by instinct.
They just know.
They just know.
Yeah.
They're going to do this and they're going to do that.
And they do it.
They do it.
Yeah.
They have a very specific path laid out for them. But we as humans, we have this incredible capacity for learning.
Yeah.
For adapting.
And creating our own paths.
And creating our own paths. That lack of a predetermined road allows us to explore a vast array of possibilities.
Yeah.
And Greene suggests that our purpose acts like an internal radar.
Okay.
Helping us navigate that vastness and find the paths that resonate most deeply with who we are.
So instead of feeling limited by instinct, we've got this internal radar guiding us towards what we're meant to do.
I like it.
But how do we tune into that radar? I mean, it feels a little...
Intangible.
Intangible, yeah.
Well, Greene suggests we look to our childhood for clues.
Oh, interesting.
He calls this process archaeology.
Ooh.
Digging into our early fascinations and those strong, almost visceral reactions we had as kids.
Oh.
The things we loved.
And the things we hated.
Yeah, and the things we intensely disliked.
I like that.
He believes those early impulse voices hold valuable insights into our natural inclinations and potential paths to purpose.
So even back then,
those
intense feelings we had as children, those impulse voices, they could be trying to tell us something about our purpose.
Exactly. And Dr. Huberman backs this up with his own personal experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he shares how he felt a deep, almost physical pull towards flora and fauna as a child.
No kidding.
Yeah, he even remembers feeling it in his left arm.
Whoa.
A very specific and visceral sensation.
He felt it in his body.
He did.
That's amazing.
And this early fascination ultimately led him to his work in biology and neuroscience.
So it wasn't just a passing thought, oh, that's a pretty flower.
It was deep.
It was deep.
A deep embodied experience.
That's really cool.
And that's what makes this idea of impulse voices so powerful.
Yeah.
They're not just fleeting thoughts. They're deeply felt experiences.
Yeah.
That can stay with us for years, even if we've buried them under layers of societal expectations or practicality.
So these impulse voices could be anything from a strong attraction to a particular subject, like Huberman's experience with nature, to, like you were saying, a visceral dislike for something.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
And it's not always about specific subjects either.
Okay.
It could be a way of thinking, a way of interacting with the world.
Yeah.
For example, some people are naturally drawn to solving problems, while others might be more inclined towards creative expression.
All right.
Greene emphasizes that these early inclinations, both positive and negative, can offer valuable clues on our journey of self-discovery.
This makes me think back to when I was a kid.
Yeah,
It's amazing how much we forget
we do.
as we get older. So
Yeah.
how do we start to uncover those buried passions, those impulse voices
Yeah.
that might be whispering to us from our past?
Well, Greene suggests we try to look back on our childhood with a fresh perspective. Imagine you're an anthropologist studying yourself as a young subject.
I like that.
Yeah. What were you drawn to? What activities made you lose track of time?
Mm-hmm.
What were those subjects or activities that you felt really strongly about,
Yeah.
whether positive or negative?
Mm-hmm.
And importantly, how did those experiences make you feel?
So it's like taking ourselves back to that time.
Yes.
And really paying attention to what lit us up, what made us come alive.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to think about how those early experiences might be connected to our purpose.
It is. And Greene isn't alone in this thinking. He brings up Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences,
Oh, yeah.
which is outlined in his book, 5 Frames of Mind.
Okay.
This theory challenges the traditional view of intelligence as a single measurable entity
Okay.
and suggests that we all possess different types of intelligence,
Yeah.
not just the intellectual kind.
So we've all got different strengths and ways of learning and processing information.
Exactly.
So how does this theory of multiple intelligences connect with finding our purpose?
Well, Gardner identifies several distinct types of intelligence,
Okay.
including linguistic, logical, mathematical,
Uh-huh.
spatial, bodily, kinesthetic,
Yeah.
musical, interpersonal, and naturalist.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Each of these intelligences reflects a different way of interacting with the world and processing information.
Okay.
Greene argues that recognizing your dominant intelligence or intelligences can be a powerful tool in identifying the kinds of activities and pursuits that align with your natural strengths and inclinations.
This is making me think.
Okay.
So, for example, someone with strong linguistic intelligence might be drawn to writing, storytelling, or public speaking,
Makes sense.
while someone with high bodily kinesthetic intelligence might find fulfillment in activities like dance,
Right.
sports, or building things with their hands.
Absolutely.
And someone with a strong naturalist intelligence might be drawn to working with animals, plants, or the environment.
So much like Dr. Huberman
Yeah.
and his early fascination with flora and fauna.
It's like that story of a young Albert Einstein who was completely captivated by a compass.
Oh, yeah.
That simple object sparked his curiosity about unseen forces, foreshadowing his later revolutionary work in physics.
It's a great example.
It's amazing to see how those early passions, even seemingly simple ones,
Yeah,
can be powerful indicators of our future paths.
they can.
So if these impulse voices and our natural inclinations are so important, why is it that so many of us struggle to connect with our purpose as adults?
That's a great question. And it's something both Greene and Dr. Huberman address in their conversation.
Oh.
They acknowledge that as we grow up,
Mm-hmm.
those inner impulse voices can get drowned out
Oh, yeah.
by external pressures and expectations.
Totally.
We start listening to the voices of parents, teachers, peers, and society at large, telling us what we should be doing, what's practical, what will make us successful.
So we can lose touch with those things that truly light us up, those passions that were so clear to us as children.
Exactly. We start chasing external validation instead of internal fulfillment.
Wow.
And while there's nothing wrong with pursuing practical goals or listening to the advice of others,
Sure.
it's crucial to remember that those external voices shouldn't completely override our own inner compass.
So how do we find that balance? How do we honor those external voices while also staying true to ourselves and those inner impulse voices that are guiding us towards our purpose?
It's about awareness and intentionality.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that both internal and external voices have a role to play in our lives.
Uh-huh.
But ultimately, we're the ones who get to decide which voices we listen to most closely.
That's empowering.
It-
We're not just passive recipients of other people's
There's-
expectations.
We have the power to choose.
We have the power to choose our own path.
Absolutely. And
Uh-huh.
Greene assures us that it's never too late to reconnect with our purpose.
Really.
Yeah.
Even if we feel like we've strayed far from those early passions.
Even if it takes some digging, some introspection, and some willingness to challenge those ingrained beliefs about who we should be. It's possible.
That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
But how do we actually start that archaeological dig to rediscover those early passions? I mean, it can feel like so much time has passed and those impulse voices have been buried for so long.
Well, Greene suggests starting by simply paying attention to how you feel.
Okay.
What activities make you lose track of time?
Mm-hmm.
What are you naturally drawn to, even if it seems impractical or frivolous?
Right.
What did you love as a kid that you might have dismissed as childish or unimportant.
It's like giving ourselves permission to be curious again, to
Yeah.
explore without judgment or expectation.
Exactly. And Dr. Huberman adds another powerful analogy to this idea of rediscovering our purpose.
Okay.
He describes it as being like discovering you're an amphibian in a world of land and air creatures.
An amphibian.
Yeah.
That's an interesting analogy. I'm curious to hear more about how that relates to finding our purpose.
So imagine you've been living your whole life believing you're just another land creature,
Okay.
trying to fit in and adapt to that environment.
Uh-huh.
But then you discover that you actually have this incredible ability to move between water and land, something the other creatures can't do.
Oh.
You have this unique perspective and set of skills that allows you to thrive in both worlds.
So it's not about limiting ourselves to one environment or one way of being.
Exactly.
It's about embracing our unique capabilities and finding the spaces where we can truly thrive.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that our purpose isn't about fitting into a predefined mold.
Mhm.
It's about understanding our unique strengths and finding the environments where those strengths can flourish.
It's about finding our own unique terrain, so to speak.
So to speak.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a liberating way to think about purpose. So let's say we started to uncover those early passions, those things that make us feel like that metaphorical amphibian in its element.
Okay.
How do we actually go from there to pursuing our purpose in a meaningful way?
Well, one question that came up from listeners was whether negative experiences can shape our purpose as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Can what we hate guide us as much as what we love?
That's a good question because sometimes our strongest motivations come from wanting to avoid something or prove someone wrong. Right. Like the classic entrepreneur who builds a successful business after being fired from their job.
Exactly. And Greene acknowledges that strong dislikes can definitely push us away from certain paths.
Okay.
But he also emphasizes the importance of having positive love-based experiences early on.
Oh.
Why? Because those positive experiences help us develop a healthy relationship with learning,
Okay.
discipline, and pushing through challenges, even when things get tough.
It's like building a foundation of positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
When we have those early experiences of joy and success, it makes us more resilient.
Yeah.
And more likely to persevere when we encounter obstacles later on.
Exactly. And that's essential for anyone pursuing their purpose. Because, let's be real, it's not always going to be easy.
No.
There will be setbacks, there will be doubts, there will be times when we question everything.
So it's not about finding a path that's free of challenges.
No.
It's about finding a path that's worth fighting for, a path that aligns with our deepest values and passions,
Yeah.
even when things get tough.
Precisely. And Greene argues that when we're driven by love for something,
Mm-hmm.
even the tough parts feel worthwhile.
Yeah.
We're more likely to stick with, to put in the hard work and to find creative solutions when we face obstacles.
It's like that saying, you can catch more flies with honey than vinegar.
Right.
When we're motivated by love and passion, it makes the whole journey more enjoyable,
Yeah.
even the challenging parts.
Exactly. And it's not to say that negative experiences can't be powerful motivators.
Sure.
Sometimes those experiences can light a fire under us
Oh, yeah.
and make us fiercely determined to create something better, to prove something to ourselves or to the world.
So it sounds like both positive and negative experiences can play a role in shaping our purpose.
Absolutely.
The key is to be aware of how those experiences have influenced us and to use that awareness to make conscious choices about the path we want to create for ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. And this is where Dr. Huberman's expertise in neuroscience comes in.
Oh, perfect.
He brings a fascinating perspective on the role that our brains play in all of this.
I was wondering when you'd bring up brain science.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to hear how our brains are wired for purpose.
Well, Dr. Huberman explains that when we feel strongly about something,
Okay.
whether it's positive or negative, it triggers the release of certain neurochemicals in our brains.
Wow.
These neurochemicals are essentially signals that drive change and adaptation.
Okay.
They tell our brains, hey, pay attention. Something important is happening here.
So it's not enough to just think about our purpose. We have to feel it.
Exactly. Those strong emotions, that excitement, that drive.
Yeah.
Those are signs that your brain is engaged and ready to make changes.
It's like flipping a switch that says, let's go.
Yes.
This makes total sense.
It does.
Think about any time you've been super motivated to learn something new.
Yeah.
It's usually because you're passionate about it, right? Like when Greene learned French in a month,
Oh, yeah.
just by being immersed in Paris because he had to communicate.
He was driven by that
Yeah,
need.
he was driven by that need.
That's a great example.
Yeah, compare that to years of studying French in school
Yeah.
without that same level of emotional engagement.
Right.
The difference is stark.
It is.
So we have this incredible potential within us, but we need to tap into those strong emotions.
Yes.
The excitement, even the drive to prove someone wrong.
Yeah.
To truly unlock it.
And remember, it's not about chasing external validation or what you think you should be doing.
Right.
It's about reconnecting with that inner voice, that internal radar Greene talks about.
I think for a lot of people, that inner voice has been quiet for so long.
It has.
It's buried under layers of expectations and shoulds. So how do we start to hear it again?
It's like any skill, it takes practice.
Okay.
Start by paying attention to how you feel.
Yeah.
What activities make you lose track of time?
Mm-hmm.
What are you naturally drawn to?
Yeah.
What did you love as a kid?
Those are great starting points.
They are.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
No.
It's okay to try different things and see what resonates.
Absolutely. It's a journey, not a destination.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
And remember, even if you feel like you've gotten off track,
You can always course correct.
you can always course correct.
You got it.
Awesome. All right, so we've talked about childhood clues, multiple intelligences, the importance of passion.
Yeah.
What other gems did Greene and Dr. Huberman share about finding your purpose?
One thing that really stood out to me was Greene's emphasis on the power of focus.
Okay.
Once you have that sense of purpose, that internal radar,
Yeah.
it helps you cut through distractions and prioritize what truly matters.
It's like having a filter for your life, right?
Exactly.
You can say no to the things that don't align with your goals and yes to the things that do.
Precisely. And that focus allows you to direct your energy towards what truly matters.
Okay.
It fuels your motivation and helps you persevere even when things get challenging.
And that feeling of being on purpose can be incredibly empowering.
It can.
It gives you a sense of direction and meaning.
Absolutely. And it doesn't mean life will be easy.
Right.
But it does mean you'll have that inner compass guiding you through the ups and downs.
Yeah.
You'll be able to weather the storms knowing you're on the right path.
It's like having that unshakable belief in yourself and what you're meant to do.
It is.
No matter what challenges come your way, you know you've got this.
And that inner strength, that resilience, is essential for anyone pursuing their purpose. Because let's be real, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows.
Right. There will be setbacks, there will be doubts, but that's all part of the journey.
It is.
It's about embracing the whole experience, the good and the bad, and knowing that every step, even the missteps,
Yeah.
is taking you closer to where you're meant to be.
And that's a powerful mindset to have.
It is.
It's about trusting the process, even when it feels messy or uncertain.
I love that. Trust the process.
Trust the process.
It's a good reminder that finding your purpose isn't a linear path.
Yep.
It's about exploring, experimenting, and allowing yourself to evolve along the way.
And being open to the possibility that your purpose might change over time.
Oh.
It's not set in stone as you grow and learn.
Yeah.
Your passions and interests might shift, and that's okay.
That takes the pressure off.
It does.
It's not about finding the one right answer and sticking to it forever.
Yeah.
It's about being curious, staying open to new possibilities, and allowing yourself to be guided by what truly lights you up.
And remembering that your purpose isn't just about you.
Okay.
It's about how you contribute to the world, how you use your unique gifts and talents to make a difference.
It's about finding that intersection between what you love and what the world needs.
Exactly. It's about using your passion to serve something bigger than yourself, whether that's your community, your family, or even the planet as a whole.
It's about leaving the world a little bit better than you found it.
And that's a legacy worth striving for.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to remind our listeners that finding your purpose is a journey, not a destination.
It's a process of self-discovery.
It's exploration and growth.
And it's worth it.
It's worth every step of the way.
Yeah.
So with that, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back in a moment to explore even more insights on this fascinating topic.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We were just talking about how our purpose can extend beyond ourselves
Yeah.
and have a positive impact on the world around us.
Yes. And this ties in beautifully with Greene's perspective on the liberating nature of finding your purpose.
Okay.
He argues that it's not about confining yourself to a narrow path, but rather about aligning your actions with your deepest values and motivations, allowing you to contribute meaningfully to something larger than yourself.
It's like finding that sweet spot where your passion and the needs of the world intersect.
Exactly.
But I think a lot of people might struggle with the idea that purpose has to be tied to some grand world-changing mission.
Mm-hmm.
What about those of us who find joy and fulfillment in simpler things,
Yeah,
like gardening, spending time with loved ones, or creating art?
that's a great point, and Greene addresses this misconception directly.
Okay.
He emphasizes that purpose doesn't have to be about achieving some monumental feat
Right.
or becoming a household name.
Yeah.
It can be about expressing your unique talents and passions
Yeah.
in any way that feels authentic and meaningful to you.
So it's not about the scale of the impact.
Right.
It's about the alignment of your actions with your values and what brings you joy.
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as bringing a smile to someone's face
Uh-huh.
or creating a beautiful piece of art that inspires someone else.
Exactly. And this brings us back to the concept of impulse voices. Greene suggests that those early passions and interests, even the ones that might seem insignificant or impractical,
Yeah.
often hold the key to uncovering our purpose.
It's like those impulse voices are trying to tell us something about who we truly are
Yeah.
and what we're meant to do in the world,
Mm-hmm.
even if it doesn't fit into society's definition of success or achievement.
Precisely. And Dr. Huberman adds a fascinating scientific layer to this conversation.
Okay. Love it when he does that.
He explains that our brains are wired to respond to strong emotions,
Okay.
both positive and negative.
Mm-hmm.
When we feel deeply about something,
Yeah.
whether it's love, joy, anger, or even frustration,
Okay.
it triggers the release of neurochemicals that signal our brains to pay attention and adapt.
So it's not just about thinking about our purpose. It's
Mhm.
about feeling it deeply in our bodies and allowing those feelings to guide us.
Yeah.
It's like our emotions are sending a signal to our brains saying, this is important. Pay attention.
Exactly. And those signals are what drive change and adaptation in the brain.
Okay.
They're what help us learn, grow, and evolve. So when we feel passionate about something,
Yeah.
it's not just a fleeting feeling.
It's real.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's our brain's way of telling us that we're on the right track.
It's like those impulse voices and those strong emotions are working together to guide us towards our purpose.
They are.
But how do we know if we're truly following our purpose or just chasing a fleeting whim?
That's where discernment comes in.
Okay.
And both Greene and Dr. Huberman emphasize the importance of paying attention to our energy levels and how we feel when we're engaged in different activities.
Okay.
They suggest asking ourselves questions like,
Okay. I like this.
what activities make me lose track of time?
Yeah.
What am I naturally drawn to, even if it seems impractical or unconventional?
Right.
What activities leave me feeling energized and fulfilled, even if they're challenging?
Love it.
And conversely, what activities drain my energy and leave me feeling depleted?
Okay, so it's like we have this internal barometer that's constantly measuring our alignment with our purpose.
That's a great way to put it.
When we're on the right track, we feel energized and alive.
Uh-huh.
When we're off because we feel drained and uninspired.
Exactly. And it's not about finding a path that's always easy or free from challenges.
Right.
It's about finding a path that feels inherently meaningful, even when it requires effort and perseverance.
It's like that saying, choose a job you love and you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
Of course, any job will have its challenges.
Sure.
But when you're aligned with your purpose, those challenges feel less like burdens and more like opportunities for growth.
Precisely. And this brings us to another key insight from Greene and Dr. Huberman's conversation.
Okay.
The importance of focus.
Oh, yeah, focus. We could all use a little bit more of that.
We could.
Yeah.
Once you have that sense of purpose, that internal compass guiding your decisions and actions,
Yeah.
it becomes easier to cut through distractions and prioritize what truly matters.
It's like having a filter for your life. You can say no to the things that don't align with your goals and yes to the things that do without feeling guilty or conflicted.
Exactly. And that focus allows you to direct your energy and resources towards what truly matters,
Okay.
which can lead to greater productivity, fulfillment, and impact.
And it can also make us more resilient in the face of challenges, right?
It can.
When we have that strong sense of purpose, we're less likely to get derailed by setbacks or give up when things get tough.
Absolutely. Having a clear sense of purpose provides a powerful anchor that can help us navigate through the inevitable storms of life. It gives us a reason to keep going, even when it's difficult.
It's like knowing your destination, even if you can't see the entire path ahead.
Yeah.
You might encounter detours and roadblocks along the way, but as long as you keep your eyes on the prize, you'll eventually find your way.
Precisely. And that sense of direction and clarity can be incredibly empowering.
Yeah.
It allows us to approach challenges with a sense of agency and resourcefulness knowing that we have the inner strength and resilience to overcome them.
It's like that feeling of, I've got this.
Yeah.
No matter what obstacles come my way, I know I can handle them because I'm aligned with my purpose and I'm committed to my goals.
And that inner confidence can make all the difference.
Yeah, it can.
It can fuel our motivation,
Yeah.
boost our creativity, and inspire us to persevere even when we face adversity.
So it's not just about finding our purpose.
Yeah.
It's about embodying it, living it fully, and allowing it to guide our thoughts, feelings, and actions.
Exactly. And that's where the real magic happens.
Ooh.
When we fully embrace our purpose,
Yeah.
it becomes a driving force that propels us forward, allowing us to create a life that is both meaningful and impactful.
That's beautiful.
And one of the most beautiful things about purpose is that it's not a fixed destination.
Oh.
It can evolve and expand as we grow and learn.
That's a great reminder that finding our purpose isn't a one-time event.
No, it's not.
It's an ongoing journey of self-discovery, exploration, and growth.
Yeah.
It's about being open to new experiences, new perspectives, and allowing our purpose to guide us towards our highest potential.
And remember, your purpose isn't just about you.
Right.
It's about how you contribute to the world around you,
Yeah.
how you use your unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact, whether big or small.
It's about recognizing that we're all interconnected
Yes.
and that our actions have the power to ripple outwards, creating positive change in the lives of others.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where our passions and the needs of the world intersect and using our unique talents to create a more beautiful, just, and fulfilling world for ourselves and for generations to come.
That's a powerful vision.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to encourage our listeners to reflect on the insights we've discussed so far.
Think about those early impulse voices that might still be whispering to you.
Mm-hmm.
Consider your unique strengths and talents.
Yeah.
And ask yourself how you can use those gifts to create positive change in the world, even in small ways.
And remember, it's not about achieving some grand world-changing mission.
Yeah.
It's about finding those small moments of joy, meaning, and connection in our everyday lives, and allowing those moments to guide us towards a life that is both fulfilling and purposeful. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We've been exploring this idea of purpose with Robert Greene and Dr. Huberman.
Some really great insights.
Really interesting stuff about how our purpose is connected to our childhood passions and even our brains.
Yeah, it's almost like we already know so much as kids.
Right, and then we kind of forget.
The world tells us who we should be.
Exactly. So as we wrap up this deep dive into purpose, let's come back to this idea of reconnecting with those early impulse voices that Greene talks about.
Yeah.
He suggests taking some time to reflect on your childhood. Like, what excited you back then? What were you naturally drawn to? What were those impulse voices trying to tell you?
It can be hard to go back that far.
It can, yeah, especially if those passions have been dormant for a long time.
Right. Where do we even begin?
Yeah, Greene offers some really practical advice he suggests, starting with a simple exercise.
Okay.
Think back to your childhood and try to remember those activities that truly captivated you. The things you could spend hours doing without even realizing time was passing.
Okay.
What were those things that made you feel truly alive and engaged?
I like that it's like giving ourselves permission to tap back into that childlike sense of wonder and enthusiasm.
Yeah.
It's about remembering what brought us joy before the world told us what we should be interested in.
Exactly. And don't limit yourself to those big, obvious passions either.
Yeah.
Sometimes the most profound insights come from paying attention to the seemingly small or insignificant things that sparked our curiosity as children.
Right, like Dr. Huberman's fascination with flora and fauna.
Yeah, exactly. Something as simple as a trip to the aquarium or a walk in the woods could ignite a lifelong passion that shapes the course of our lives.
It happens all the time.
It does, so pay attention to those subtle nudges, those moments of delight and fascination that might be trying to guide you back towards your purpose.
Greene calls these impulse voices.
Right.
And they can manifest in different ways: a recurring dream, a sudden urge to learn a new skill, or a deep sense of satisfaction when you're engaged in a particular activity.
It's like those impulse voices are little whispers from our soul,
Yeah.
trying to guide us towards our true path. But sometimes those whispers can get drowned out by the noise of everyday life.
They do.
How do we learn to listen more closely?
It takes practice and intentionality.
Okay.
Start by creating space for quiet reflection in your day.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a few minutes of meditation, a walk in nature, or simply sitting in silence with a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
The key is to quiet the mind. and create space for those inner whispers to emerge.
It's like hitting the pause button on the external noise and tuning into our own internal frequency.
Exactly. And as we start to pay attention, we might notice patterns emerging, certain themes or interests that keep coming up.
And don't be afraid to experiment.
No.
Try new things. Revisit old hobbies and see what sparks that feeling of joy and excitement.
It's about approaching life with a sense of curiosity and playfulness, allowing yourself to explore different possibilities without judgment or expectation.
I love that it's about giving ourselves permission to be curious again, to rediscover those things that light us up, even if they don't fit into our current idea of who we are or what we should be doing.
Exactly. And remember, finding your purpose isn't a linear process.
Right.
It's a journey of exploration, discovery, and growth. There will be twists and turns along the way, moments of doubt, and even times when you feel completely lost.
Yeah.
But that's all part of the process.
It's like we're navigating uncharted territory. We might not always know where we're going, but as long as we trust our inner compass and keep moving forward, we'll eventually find our way.
We will. And as you continue on this journey of self-discovery, remember that your purpose isn't just about you. It's about how you contribute to the world around you, how you use your unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact.
It's about finding that sweet spot where our passions and the needs of the world intersect.
Yeah.
And using our unique gifts to make a difference no matter how big or small.
And that's a legacy worth striving for.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into purpose, I want to leave you with one final thought. Imagine yourself as that amphibian we talked about earlier.
Okay.
Capable of navigating between different worlds, seeing things from multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
What unique gifts do you bring to the table? How can you use those gifts to create a more beautiful, just, and fulfilling world for yourself and for generations to come? What will your unique contribution be?
Your purpose is waiting to be discovered.
It is.
Embrace the journey, trust your inner compass, and let your unique light shine brightly in the world.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into purpose. Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light.